Is this the end of my love affair with model railways? I'm selling our layout, or one of our layouts, should I say, the one that I use and built for showing off products, i.e. locomotives and stock that we sell on through the Enwins Models website. The thing is that I'm not really using that layout very much, and we are planning a new modular layout which includes both 009 and 00, which will allow us to put some of our 009 stock, i.e. the excellent buildings by Mark Holcroft, as well as our own village range, onto the layout so that people can see them, as well as 00, which then gives us a way of showing the 00 products as well. And as well as that, we're also going to be finishing the garden railway, which might now roll into next year because money is a bit tight. So that layout is for sale, and I'll show you a little bit more of the layout later on. But on a cheery note, at the recent Rainhill, it was the 009 AGM, the national AGM, and it was also the regional narrow gauge meet. So there was lots of layouts there, and our trade stand was there. But I also had a pop next door and bought a few things. Take a look at this. At the recent narrow gauge meet that was at Rainhill, as well as having our trade stand next door, was Brookes 3D models, and I picked up a few really tasty little models. This I thought would be absolutely perfect for our narrow gauge 009 layout, a little GVT first class coach, but we'll come back to this one at a later date. I also got one set of these excellent looking loco crews. Unfortunately, he only had one left on the stand by the time I got there. I'll come back to these as well at a later date. I'm very short of wagons for this layout, so these Corris wagons, which come in a pack of 3, look like a great idea, so I snapped these up as well. My final purchase is these. A set of Doric slate wagons, and these are excellent value. For £24 you get a pack of 6, and although I was aware that there are instructions on the website, I didn't actually need it to assemble these, so let's go right into it and go through the build. Now, it is a little bit tricky holding the phone or a camera and doing the build at the same time, so I decided to do it in photo form. Now, the body of the wagons come with the couplings actually inside, and the slate comes as a separate moulding that sits inside. So first thing to do is to unclip the couplings from inside and set them to one side ready for painting, and then the slate can go inside at a later stage. The slate itself comes in 2 halves, 2 separate prints, and what you do is you glue those together, and I took the opportunity whilst they were in 2 halves to put a little bit of metal inside to add a bit of weight to the finished wagon. Then I got some acrylic paint, which I bought from the Hobbycraft store, and I mixed a bit of white and a bit of black, and I came up with the slate colour. So that was mixed up, and I painted the slate once they were glued together with the metal inside, and set them off to dry. Whilst I was at it, I also mixed up a little bit of dark brown and white to create a sort of a used plank effect for the bottom of the wagons, and I painted those. They have actually got planking in the print, so when you look down you can see the planking, so that looks very effective once you add the right colour paint. So I mixed up some light brown, very light brown, for that, and of course the slates are then ready to fit into the wagon once it's finished being painted. The wagons, I decided, because this is my own heritage railway and not Doric, I painted the frames black, and you'll notice that the wheels are already fitted, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And then when it's all finished, the couplings are also painted black to match the rest of the frame, but they actually fit in little nem pockets, which are actually part of the print in the wagons. So you could fit these couplings that are 3D printed, or you can actually fit Pico or other couplings into the nem pocket as you would to any Bachmann or Pico wagon model. So it's absolutely fantastic, and as you can see, the finished result looks very acceptable, and those couplings bring them nice and close, but they do allow a bit of movement. So I'm looking forward to trying these on the track itself. Next, I turned my attention to the little Corris wagons. Now these are delightful. I've done a bit of video work at the Corris, and I've got an affinity with that line, so having some Corris wagons appealed too. Once again, you've got the couplings inside the wagon itself, but also you've got some extra bits, including the brake levers for the outside, so it's a little bit more fiddly and a little bit more complicated, but here goes. I didn't photograph every stage of this build, but basically it's the same principle. You undo all the brake rigging and the couplings from inside the wagon, tidy it up, then you put some metal inside the slate and glue those together so they are ready to fit inside the wagon. The wagons themselves are a little bit more fiddly because of the brake lever that you need to fit to look right, but the exterior has some fantastic bracketry designed into the print. So let's have a look at this. Once they were all glued together, as I said, it's a bit more fiddly than the Doric ones. So if you want an easy starter, start with the Doric ones and then move on to the Corris ones, as I did. But anyway, I finished these, painted them up, and I'll show you later how they came out. At the same show, I noticed that some of the layouts were able to uncouple wagons on the layout. They had some sort of uncoupling mechanism, so I asked them how they did it, and they told me that they used Greenwich couplings. So I went onto the internet and I ordered some Greenwich couplings, and these are extremely fiddly but really worth doing. Now, as you can see, I also ordered a 3D printed tool from them to help make them. Now, I highly recommend buying this little tool because it really does make it an awful lot easier to assemble the couplings, because they come as a brass etched kit and you have to bend the brass, and this tool makes it a lot easier to bend them in the right place, and it really does make the whole job a lot easier. Now, just like you'd hope. These couplings do come, and the tool as well, come with excellent instructions, which is absolutely vital. And if you follow these instructions, you won't go wrong. They really are comprehensive. And yeah, so having opened it up, and here is the pack with the frets inside. You'll also notice there's a little bit of wire in there, and the wire is actually how the whole thing works, because this is magnetized wire. You wrap it around an extended leg, for want of a better description, on the coupling. That acts on a magnet which is hidden in the ballast, and that's how the coupling opens. So basically it is fiddly, but if you use the tool and you use the instructions, these things are a step-by-step job to create couplings that will slide into the NEM pockets on the wagons or on coaches, which is how I intend to use them on the layout. So after following all the instructions, which are a lot of bending and fiddly stuff, we end up with this. A coupling with a magnetized wire at the end of it, fitted to our new slate wagon, which in theory will allow us to uncouple as we approach a magnet which is in the sleepers. In this case, it's a magnet that's from a 00 gauge coupling, but let's demonstrate again. So magnet in the sleepers, bingo. So apologies for the camera work, it's difficult holding a phone and demonstrating at the same time. I've got a bit of the Father Ted thing about distance and so on, perspective going on. It's a 3D exercise to film in 2D, but there you go. Now, one of my previous purchases for this layout is, well, a pair of these beautiful L&B coaches. I don't have an L&B loco, but it's a heritage railway, so I can get away with using Linton and Barnstable. I've also got one in Southern livery, just because. But this is the brake, as you can see at the back. So I am going to put one of the magnetized couplings here, which first of all means taking the old one out. And that is done with a gentle tug. I didn't need to, because it's in a NEM pocket. And I've got two of the magnetized couplings, which need a little coat of extra paint. I've got two of those that I've made up ultra fiddly. But anyway, that should just slide in. Because it's a looser fit, I might fit a dab of glue if it's needed. Right, a dab of glue was needed, but that's one Greenwich coupling fitted. Just needs a little dab of paint. And that means we'll be able to uncouple from the back of the train when we run around. At least that's the theory. So now to fit Greenwich couplings to a few more things. And then we'll start, when we build the layout, we can just install magnets embedded in the ballast between the sleepers at various points. I think those wagons look absolutely fantastic, so we'll come back to that in another episode. good reason for you to keep watching. In fact, I want to say thank you for everyone who has subscribed recently. The numbers have gone up and we're edging closer and closer to the magic 1000. And as I've had to give up my main job, and Enwin's Models website is still not earning money, as soon as we can get subscribed with this, those extra few pounds makes all the difference. It's doesn't cost you anything, but if you could click on that bell, it really does help us enormously. So let me know in the comments what you think of those wagons, and I promised to show you a little bit more of our layout that's up for sale. We're looking for around £300, and there is an email address in the description below. If you're interested, let me know. I'm more interested in it going to a good home. It's not an exhibition layout. There's still a couple of things that I still would have done to it, because a layout is never finished, and I'm sure that the new owner will find lots of things to do on it. It comes with the bit that you can see, but also a fiddle yard. It's about 6.5, 7 feet long by 2 feet and a bit wide. So, you know, it's a nice size for an end-to-end shunting layout, and it's quite a nice thing. So do drop us an email, and here is a little bit of the layout to see us out to the end of the show, and I'll see you next time.